Every sound that you are going to hear in this video will be software synthesized. Welcome to the future.
Our topic today is creating a better public sphere. Before that, we'll give you an overview of how the current online public spheres are doing. First question, what are the predominant forms of current online public spheres? By definition, a public sphere is an area in social life where individuals can come together to freely discuss and identify societal problems. Because of this, many online services that one supposes to be public spheres are not actually public spheres. A perfect example would be Lego Life, where you are not allowed to comment using words. The same is true for a bunch of other services, such as Instagram or Snapchat. This constraint enables us to boil the current online systems down to three basic categories. The first type is comment-centric, which is enabled by the comment section of news articles or blogs. The second type is discussion-centric. This kind of public sphere is usually created in online forums like Reddit or HK Golden. The third type is post-centric. This includes Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. The last type is more complicated than the first two, and can be further divided. With this in mind, we can proceed to analyze the current online public sphere. First, some word for their code of conduct. A public sphere must have rules and regulations, or else there will be abusive language, threats, and total chaos. The exact forming of these rules requires the theoretical thinking of academics and the ideas of the public, but in the real world what is more lacking here is enforcing. These public spheres usually have similar rules and regulations for discussions and debates, but the exact degree of enforcing them usually depends on their internal policy and resources. One interesting frontier will be Google's conversation AI, which can filter out unfriendly content using artificial intelligence. This technology has the potential to drive down the cost of enforcing regulations to only a few human operators. But for the time being, enforcing these rules remains relatively slow and costly. This characteristic will be further seen in our following evaluation of the current online public sphere. What constitutes a good public sphere? An ideal public sphere should be inclusive, informative, and should encourage rational debate. First, inclusiveness. These sites are usually easy to access and have good user interface. Because of this, the online public sphere is absolutely more inclusive than its offline counterpart. However, a lot of these sites have unfriendly users who will insult those that they do not agree with. Because of this, many users will still not participate in discussions about controversial societal issues that are actually worth discussing. For informativeness, these sites are doing pretty bad. Make no mistake, a typical user has much more information now than 20 years ago, but this improvement is largely due to the internet itself. For a typical online public sphere, it will not provide facts to the people who are having discussions, and it does not have a built-in structure to make sure what a user says or shares in a discussion is factual. This is the reason why Facebook had its fake news fiasco last year. The next metric, rational debate, is the part where our group almost lost hope in the future of online public sphere. We have identified some rational debates in the online public sphere among a few people, but those people are likely to have the same debate using telephone or letters or just face-to-face. However, the kind of rational debate that cannot be possible without online public sphere, the kind of decentralized and large-scale rational debate, is non-existent. This is partly to do with the online public sphere's current degree of inclusiveness and factualness, but the most fundamental reason is that most of these service providers do not consider themselves as public spheres. They consider themselves as service-providing companies, and they are satisfied as long as they have a large user base to generate and sustain revenue. They don't want to encourage rational debate. Rational debates drive down revenue. This is why they are doing worse and worse in each metric as our analysis proceeds. Most of these sites have an incentive to be inclusive, some of these sites have an incentive to be informative, but none of them have an incentive to encourage rational discussion. Therefore, an online public sphere which improves upon the current model must first orient its design around the objective of encouraging inclusive and rational discussion with sufficient information. And that is what we are trying to achieve in the online public sphere that we propose. Following this line of reasoning, we will return to one of the early forms of public sphere, emerged in the Enlightenment age, the press. What made journalism successful in engaging the public in discussions is that it provides the context and fact for the public to discuss about. The topic being discussed was usually few, but the exchange was much more fruitful because people knew what the others were talking about. They understood each other because all of them had a similar understanding of what's on the table. Furthermore, it was due to this limitation that they could focus on a limited amount of issues that were really important. In our day and age, the only kind of online public sphere that retains the same characteristics is the comment sections of news sites and blogs, the first type of online public sphere identified by our group. The reason why it is much more worth improving than the post-centric model or the forum-centric model is that it is the only kind of model that can provide verifiable information on its own, and the topics that the users are going to talk about will be perfectly aligned with the article which they have as their shared knowledge. Moreover, the shared knowledge will not be a fragmented 140-character message, but will be a comprehensive, well-balanced article telling you what the facts are, what are the controversies, and what are at stake, and often they will leave you some trails to delve even deeper into that topic. In this sense, before a person joins the comment section, he or she will be first automatically transformed to be a competent interlocutor. This may sound too fancy to be true. Everyone who is watching this video must have been using the internet for quite some time, and I'm sure none of you have seen a discussion on a news website picking up steam. The reason for that is, everything before the commenting, like the reading, the thinking, these things are great. But when you really get down to making the comment, things start to suck. First, commenting on a news site is very inconvenient. There are hundreds upon thousands of websites whose articles you may watch, and you must log in to their websites before making the comment. You may argue that there are news websites that do not require accounts, but things get worse in this scenario. Because you have not signed up, you'll not be able to receive any replies without checking the articles constantly, which may be even more of a hassle if you ever decide to reply to the replies. Second, deeper interaction on a news site is almost impossible. If you have an account on, say, a blog about monetary policy, and you really like the comments made by another guy with a Batman avatar because he always has a point in his argument. But because this is not Facebook or Reddit, chances are you'll not be able to follow this person's timeline, which basically means you'll probably not see this person's activity unless you bump into him in the comment section of another future article. Third, what you read and what you comment on will not have a lasting impact. Let's say that you have made a very insightful comment on one issue, and everyone who reads it really agrees with you and admires you for that. But the influence you gain at that moment will be over as soon as that article loses its trendiness. Because of this, many people may choose to store their comments on Facebook. Last but not least, commenting at the bottom of an article is not intuitive, because oftentimes the part of article that you agree or disagree may be just one paragraph or one sentence of that article, and thus making comments at the bottom of that article makes no sense at all, and the awkward location of your comment will take people longer to understand which part of the article you're commenting on. These are the four major problems of the comment section in news sites and blogs, but once these problems have been addressed, the comment-oriented online public sphere will be much better. And we will do just that. Unlike these problems that concern the post-centric or forum-centric community, the problem for a comment-oriented public sphere is mostly a technical one. The people involved already have the facts and have already been attracted to the problem at display. What they need is just a better space to discuss and to interact. The main problem for improvement is, like the other services, the news sites or blogs do not consider themselves as public spheres, and they do not attach the same amount of importance to the comment section as they do to their articles, and many of these services even close the comment section altogether because it is too troublesome to maintain. So, how do we change the situation? The answer is simple. We will not change the news sites one bit, but we will revolutionize the location that users send their comments. Introduce our new product, Layer. Using Layer, you'll be able to comment on a news site or a blog like never before. Just one click of a keystroke, and an independent layer of the website will be created. All of your comments will be made and stored on that independent layer. Using only one account, you can comment on any news site there is, and you can comment on any part of the article you like, or join any of the discussions that you find interesting. Because it is just like an independent dimension of the article page, you can comment just in the way you've always wanted, no hassle, none at all. The improvement is much more than a better user experience upgrade. Using a universal commenting service, any user can be kept on track. Send threats to others, and you're out. Harassing others, and you're out. Trolls will be much more easily deterred, because it is no longer viable to hide in the multiple divided comment sections. Not only will abusive actions be much more discouraged than the previous model, but constructive comments will also be much more rewarding for the commentator. Because of Layer, reputation and influence can be built up, so everyone in the discussion will have the incentive to make as much sense as they possibly can. Because of this track record system of user credibility, rational discussion is automatically encouraged. That is where things start to get really interesting. Once enough comments and discussions have been made, Layer will become a network of information in its own right, and the stream of high-quality user discussion will be a source of revelation for the journalists who report the news. They will know what angles they have missed, and they can write follow-up articles on that particular topic. Once the new facts have been gathered, it will trigger a new round of discussion. It will be a long-lasting virtuous cycle. At this stage that I've just mentioned, layer may become so prevalent that it will be studied by policymakers, and those once engaged in the discussion may even form groups to demand change. And that is the holy grail of a public sphere. To be sure, everything will be much harder and more complicated once they are really carried out in real life. The structure will need a much more careful design, and layer will most certainly have more features and take more detours to attract users. We will lay out a more concrete plan in the future. But the thing is, it's not about a business plan. It's about our vision. The comment-oriented public sphere has the potential to transform the society, and we believe this potential can be reached with our product. Using layer, we believe that we can build a better public sphere. Thank you.